The grand chamber of the Galactic Space Council floated in the heart of a star cluster. It was a place where thousands of alien civilizations gathered to discuss peace, war, and survival. The chamber was made of crystal towers and vast halls that shimmered with starlight. Every species believed it was the center of power in the galaxy. That day, tension filled the air. Council members whispered in their own strange tongues. News had spread quickly. The humans were coming. For centuries, Earth had remained quiet, almost invisible. Humans were considered a minor race, brash, emotional, and fragile. Their worlds were far at the edge of the spiral arm, not important enough to notice. Yet strange reports had arrived. Fleets destroyed, strong empires humbled, and always a shadow followed those reports, the shadow of human warships. The chamber darkened as the Council's leader, an ancient being with skin like glass, called for order. "We summon humanity. Let them step forward and explain their presence in our galaxy." Silence stretched. Then the stars above the chamber shifted. Space rippled as if reality itself bent. The crowd gasped as massive shapes appeared outside the transparent dome. They were ships, but no ships like the galaxy had ever seen before. The hulls swallowed light. They were not made of metal, crystal, or plasma like other fleets. They looked as if they were carved out of darkness itself. Huge, jagged silhouettes glided into view, blotting out entire stars. Every alien in the chamber felt a chill as though the void itself had come alive. "Dark matter," one council scientist whispered, trembling. "Their warships are made of dark matter." No one believed it at first. Dark matter was the invisible substance that held galaxies together, yet no empire had ever touched it, much less shaped it. It was supposed to be untouchable, a mystery beyond reach. But humanity had turned the universe's hidden foundation into armor, into engines, into weapons. The largest warship moved closer. Its surface pulsed faintly, like the slow heartbeat of some great beast. The chamber's lights flickered, struggling against its presence. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council felt powerless. Then the humans arrived. The warship's hull split open, revealing a long walkway of dark steel. From it, a group of humans stepped forward. They wore simple black uniforms with no golden crowns, no shimmering jewels like the other empires flaunted. Their power did not need decoration. Their leader, tall and calm, spoke in a steady voice that carried across the chamber. "We were invited," he said. His words were simple, but the silence that followed was heavy. Every alien stared. These were not the weak, reckless humans they remembered from the past. These were something new, something forged in secret, in shadows, in silence. One counselor, with scales glowing in fear, spoke shakily. Why have you built such ships? What are you preparing for?" The human's gaze swept across the chamber. "We prepare because the galaxy does not wait for mercy. We prepare because threats rise from the void. And when they come, humanity will not bow." The words struck like thunder. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. Some whispered of rebellion, others of alliance. But deep down, all of them felt the same thing: fear. The dark matter warships hovered above, silent and unstoppable. No weapon in the known galaxy could scratch them. No fleet could match their shadows. The Council realized the truth. Humanity had walked quietly for centuries, but now their silence had ended, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The chamber of the Galactic Space Council had never been so silent. For ages it had been a place of endless noise, voices clashing, demands echoing, bargains made. Now only one sound remained: the low hum of the human dark matter warships circling outside like silent predators. Every alien leader felt it in their bones. These ships were not just machines. They were symbols. They were shadows carved into weapons. They whispered a message without words. Humanity had discovered something the galaxy thought impossible. The human delegation stood at the center, their leader calm as if he carried no fear. Behind him, the others remained still, eyes sharp but faces unreadable. The counselors tried to study them, but the more they looked, the more uneasy they became. There was no arrogance in these humans, no boast, no hunger for display. That was what made them dangerous. Finally, an old council member with silver skin broke the silence. We must understand. How did your people touch the void? Dark matter cannot be shaped. It slips through all hands. No science has held it. Yet you... His words faded as he stared at the humans' black uniforms. You turned the galaxy's skeleton into ships. The human leader did not smile. We learned because we had to. When storms came to our worlds, no one answered our cries. When warlords burned our colonies, no council sent aid. Humanity was left alone in the dark. And so, we made the dark our ally. The chamber shivered. Those words carried an accusation that no one could deny. The truth was clear. For centuries, humanity had been ignored, underestimated, even mocked. While great empires squabbled over territory and profit, humans had been building something in silence. The youngest of the alien council, her body glowing faint blue, leaned forward. Her voice was soft, but every word cut. And what do you want from us now, humans? Do you bring war, or do you seek our surrender? The human leader's eyes flicked toward her. For the briefest moment, there was fire in his gaze, then calm again. We seek neither. We bring a warning. The chamber erupted in whispers. A warning? From humans? It seemed absurd, and yet those ships outside the dome made the absurd into truth. The leader raised his hand, and silence fell again. There are movements in the dark places of the galaxy. Creatures that do not speak, do not build, do not negotiate. They consume. Entire star systems are falling to them. You call them myths, shadows. But we have seen them. Many counselors froze. Myths of the devourers had spread for centuries. Stories of a hunger that moved between galaxies. Most dismissed them as legends. But humanity had always looked where others feared. The human continued, his voice low and sharp. We did not build these warships to conquer you. We built them to face what waits beyond the edge. And when it comes, no empire alone will survive. The question is not if you fear us. The question is if you fear them more. The words slammed into the chamber like a weapon. Aliens looked at one another, scales shifting, tendrils curling, wings trembling. For the first time, the council felt something worse than fear of humans. They felt the greater fear of the unknown. Outside, the massive dark matter ships drifted in silence. They carried no banners, no bright lights, only the void itself. Their shadows crawled across the chamber walls, reminding everyone of what humanity had done. They had turned fear into strength. The council leader, ancient and proud, finally stood. His voice shook, though he tried to hide it. If what you say is true, then why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue in silence until the threat arrives? The human's answer was simple. Because silence does not save allies. It only buries them. Gasps spread through the chamber. Allies? Humanity had called itself alone for so long. Could these shadows now offer unity? Or was it a trap, a mask for conquest? No one could tell. And that uncertainty was more terrifying than war. The meeting ended with no decision, no vote, no alliance. The humans turned and walked back to their warship, their steps echoing like drums of fate. The doors closed, the shadows retreated, and the council was left in silence once more, every ruler staring into the stars, wondering if the galaxy had just witnessed its saviors or its new overlords. The Galactic Council chamber remained quiet long after the humans departed. Yet silence did not mean unity. It meant distrust, confusion, and fear. The image of those dark matter warships lingered in every alien's mind. They were too powerful, too impossible, too dangerous. Some counselors whispered that the humans had lied about the devourers, creating a phantom enemy to hide their true plan, domination. In the lower halls of the council's crystal towers, secret meetings began. A reptilian emperor with burning eyes slammed his claws against the table. Do you not see? Humanity waited in silence for centuries, and now they return with ships that bend the void itself. They are not here to save us. They are here to rule us. Others nodded, fearful but eager. A bird-like matriarch with silver feathers hissed, Their warning is a mask. The devourers are legends, but the humans, they are real. If we wait, their fleets will grow until none of us can resist. A dark agreement spread among them. They would not wait for humanity to become the galaxy's savior or conqueror. They would strike first, quietly, in secret, before those warships could multiply. Meanwhile, far above the halls of betrayal, the human fleet drifted in silence. On the command bridge of the largest warship, the human leader stood at the viewport, watching the stars. Around him, officers worked without words, their faces calm, their eyes sharp. One of them finally spoke, her voice low. "They don't believe us. Already their spies move. Their fear blinds them." The leader did not turn. "Good, let them fear. Fear is the truth of this galaxy, but keep watch. When the knives come, I want to see them before they strike." Outside, the warship's hull pulsed faintly, like a heart made of darkness. In the weeks that followed, whispers spread across the galaxy. Fleets were moved in secret. Weapons were prepared. Smaller empires, terrified of being crushed between humanity and the greater powers, sought to choose sides. Some offered hidden deals to humans, hoping for protection. Others sold themselves to the old empires, desperate for survival. And in the shadows between the stars, something stirred. One council scientist, young and reckless, stole fragments of human transmissions. He listened to the recordings, expecting to find proof of lies. But what he heard chilled him. The humans were not fabricating the devourers. Their scouts had indeed vanished beyond the edge of the galaxy. Entire colonies were gone, swallowed without a signal. His hands shook as he played the last fragment. A broken human voice whispered through static. "They are not stars. They are mouths." He rushed to the council chambers, desperate to warn them. But the council no longer listened to scientists. They listened to generals. They listened to fear. At the same time, far out in the void, the humans tested their weapons in silence. A warship fired once at a barren moon. The dark matter beam struck, and the moon did not shatter like stone or melt like ice. Instead, it vanished, a whole world swallowed into nothing. No light, no fragments, only absence. The officers stared in silence. Such power was not a weapon. It was erasure. The leader gave no order of triumph. He only whispered, "And still it may not be enough." Back at the council, the plotting reached its peak. The reptilian emperor and his allies forged a hidden pact. They would strike the human fleet during the next gathering, using combined firepower. If they could destroy the dark matter warships early, they could claim the galaxy safe once more. But not all were blind. A few leaders, quiet and cautious, began to wonder, what if the humans truly were right? What if the devourers were real? If humanity was destroyed, who would stand when the shadow arrived? Divisions deepened, betrayal brewed, and in the endless dark, something vast continued to move, unseen. The galaxy was not preparing for one war. It was preparing for two. The Galactic Council called another gathering. Officially, it was to discuss humanity's proposal and review evidence of the so-called devourers. Unofficially, whispers of treachery moved like fire through the halls. When the humans entered the chamber, their steps were calm, their faces unreadable. Above the dome, their dark matter warships drifted in silence, shadows against the stars, but this time hundreds of alien fleets surrounded the council station. Ships of every size and color hovered like vultures, their weapons hidden but ready. Their crews were told the same story. Humanity had come to enslave the galaxy. The council must act before it was too late. The meeting began with sharp words. The reptilian emperor, scales flashing with anger, pointed a claw at the humans. "We have heard your warning, but we see through your lies. You build weapons of void, not peace. You bring shadows, not salvation. You are no allies. You are a threat." The human leader did not flinch. "We do not ask for trust, only readiness. The devourers are coming." The council erupted in shouts, wings flaring, claws striking tables, voices crashing together. Then, with a single signal, the trap was sprung. From the fleets outside, energy weapons roared. The skies above the chamber lit with fire. Dozens of alien cruisers turned their cannons toward the black silhouettes of human warships. The betrayal had begun, but the humans had expected it. As the first blasts struck, the council chamber shook. Aliens screamed, fearing the whole station would collapse. Yet when the light cleared, the dark matter hulls remained untouched. The beams, the missiles, the plasma, all vanished into silence, absorbed as if the ships had swallowed the attack itself. Then came the answer. One human warship opened its maw of shadow. A thin beam of black energy lanced outward. It touched an alien destroyer, and the ship was gone. Not destroyed, not shattered, gone. Space folded, reality erased, nothing left but silence. Panic spread through the Council's fleets. They fired again, but each shot was eaten by the dark hulls. One by one, ships blinked out of existence, erased by weapons that defied understanding. Inside the chamber, the human leader stood motionless as chaos erupted around him. "We warned you," he said, his voice calm even as screams filled the air. "Fear makes you blind. And blindness makes you weak." The reptilian emperor slammed his claws down. "You claim to protect us, yet you slaughter us." The human's gaze turned on him. Cold, steady. "We do not strike the Council. Only those who raise their weapons first." Outside, the fleets were breaking. Some tried to flee. Others begged for surrender. But before the battle could end, something far worse arrived. The stars dimmed. From the edge of the system, space itself rippled, as though a curtain was being pulled aside. Vast shadows began to push through, shapes so large they dwarfed even the human warships. They were not ships of metal, nor creatures of flesh. They were something in between, endless black forms that writhed like living void. Their mouths opened, not with teeth, but with gravity itself, swallowing the light of distant stars. The council chamber fell silent as every alien turned to the dome above. The devourers had arrived. Screams filled the fleets as the newcomers descended. Alien cruisers vanished whole into those impossible mouths. 1,000 weapons fired, but their beams bent away, swallowed like drops of water in an ocean. For the first time, even the humans looked toward the horizon with grim eyes. Their leader spoke only 4 words, heavy as stone. "They are here now." In that instant, the council realized the truth. The humans had not been lying. Their warships, as terrifying as they were not built for conquest. They were built for this, for the nightmare that had just stepped out of the dark. But the council was broken. Half their fleets had already betrayed humanity. The others were in panic. Only the dark matter warships remained steady, their black hulls pulsing as they turned to face the endless shadows. The galaxy was out of time. The council chamber shook as the devourers poured into the system. They were not an army. They were a storm. Each one was vast, bigger than moons, their bodies shifting like shadows given form. Their mouths opened wide, bending space, drinking the light of distant stars. Whole fleets disappeared into that endless hunger. The Galactic Council, once proud and united, was now broken. Some leaders cried out for retreat, others begged for mercy, but no mercy came. The betrayal against humanity had left them weak, their fleets scattered. Only the humans remained steady. Their dark matter warships turned as one, black silhouettes against a darker sky. They moved without panic, without hesitation. On the bridge of the largest warship, the human leader stood tall, his eyes locked on the nightmare spreading before them. He spoke quietly, but his words carried across every human channel. "Remember Earth. Remember the long nights when no one came. Remember who we are. Today, we do not fight for survival alone. Today, we fight for the galaxy, even if it fears us." The warships ignited. From their hulls burst beams of pure void, lines of black fire that carved into the devourers. For the first time, the shadows recoiled. Their massive forms twisted, their gravity mouths snapping shut as pieces of their bodies dissolved into nothing. The humans had built weapons not of light, but of darkness. Weapons the galaxy had never dared imagine. The council chamber fell into stunned silence. The very races that had tried to destroy humanity now watched in awe as those feared warships became shields against the true enemy. But the devourers were endless. For every shadow that fell, 2 more emerged. Their hunger was not slowed by fear, not broken by pain. They pressed forward, swallowing the system piece by piece. On the council floor, the reptilian emperor who had led the betrayal stared in horror. "They cannot win. Not even humans can stand against this." The young scientist who had once stolen human signals turned to him, his voice shaking but fierce. then we must fight with them. If they fall, we all fall. For the first time, the council listened. Orders flew across the chamber. Fleets that had once fired on humanity now turned their weapons outward. Plasma beams, crystal lances, and energy storms filled the void. But their attacks were weak compared to the humans. They bought seconds, nothing more. The humans alone held the line. One warship broke formation, plunging straight into the heart of the devourer swarm. Its dark matter engines burned like collapsing stars. On its bridge, the captain smiled faintly. "Tell Earth." We lit the dark. Then the ship detonated. Not in fire, not in light, but in silence. The void bent, folded, and collapsed. A dozen devourers were erased in an instant, their massive bodies ripped from existence. The shockwave tore across the battlefield, and for the first time, the swarm faltered. The council chamber erupted with gasps. Sacrifice. Humanity had not unleashed its power for conquest. They had given their lives for a galaxy that had betrayed them. The human leader raised his voice cold and clear. "Do you see now? We are not your chains. We are your shield. But shields break if left alone." Something shifted then. Pride fell away. Fear turned to resolve. Across the galaxy, fleets that had hesitated now joined the humans. The council, broken moments ago, found unity at last, forced not by laws or threats, but by humanity's defiance. The battle raged for hours. Warships vanished. Shadows screamed in silence. But the line held. When the last devourer collapsed into nothingness, the stars returned. Burned fleets drifted. Silence fell again. But this silence was different. It was the silence of survival. The human warships floated among the wreckage, their black hulls scarred but unbroken. The council stared at them with new eyes. No longer as monsters, no longer as would-be conquerors, but as something the galaxy had never known before, saviors who had earned their fear. The human leader spoke one final time. "Now you understand. We do not seek your throne. We seek your survival. We do not ask for gratitude. Only that when the dark comes again, and it will, you will stand with us." He turned, his cloak of shadow following him, and left the chamber. Above, the dark matter warships pulled away, vanishing into the void from which they came. The galaxy would never forget the sight. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors, but as guardians forged in darkness. And though fear remained, it was no longer the fear of chains. It was the fear of losing them.